Welcome back, Crackle Addicts. I'm Lupinefiasco. This is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we are playing Aurora Shooting Star. For anyone who is new to the channel, what we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my games. I will talk through turn cycles as if I were taking them now, explaining my thought processes for the lines I would take, and compare that to the lines I did take. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future, taking down paper events, and walking away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. If you'd like to engage further, there is a link to my Discord and to my Patreon. Without further ado, let's jump right into the action. Having won the die roll against Bravo, we are choosing to go first. I do think that's wrong. So this is a weird matchup, especially after Worlds. Bravo, Nu, and Enigma are the three heroes that use Count Your Blessings best, and use it best with a fatigue strategy. And if they are fatiguing us, and especially if they're Count Your Blessings, then our game plan changes. Now, if we can put our Bravo definitively on Count Your Blessings, we want to go first, and we want to set up, put a card into Arsenal. With this hand in particular, playing Sigil of Solace, pitching Current Funnel into Grasp, and then playing Sigil of Lightning and arsenaling Lightning Press is a really good start to a counter fatigue strategy where we are trying to set up, but we would also be playing Crown of Dominion and Aether Ironweave, which for this game were not in the list. Oh, it's really weird. I do think we are supposed to assume in a Tier 3 or Tier 4 tournament that all of our Bravos are going to be on Count Your Blessings, the reason being that if we board for Count Your Blessings and they aren't, which this Bravo, based solely on equipment, is not playing Count Your Blessings, we can still win the game. But if we board for them being traditional Bravo and they are Count Your Blessings, we just lose. We will get fatigued. So I sort of accidentally boarded better for this matchup than I would have had I been playing Dominion, Ironweave, multiple Poison the Wells. I still did board for a Count Your Blessings plan, and we are going to get slightly punished for it, but the big thing was we would have wanted to go first in that setup. Instead, we are going second. The hand we draw into is actually pretty good. We can block for 3, gain 3, play Sigil of Lightning, and then have Lightning Press. Unfortunately, Bravo does high roll us with the turn 0 dominated Starstruck. Our answer to this is pretty easy. We're going to block with Current Funnel, play Sigil, both Sigils. Unfortunately, we cannot do more to cover this Starstruck. If I was playing Dyadic Carapace, I would give Grasp and Carapace to prevent the crush effect. As it is, I would not give Grasp and Crown of Providence. So we do take a net 4. We are under the effect of Starstruck, and we really don't get much of a turn. We do get to pitch into Grasp with the Arknight, at least. What are we pitching? Rather, what do we want to keep? I want to arsenal this Lightning Press. For one thing, it is going to be really helpful for pushing on hits. For another, it doesn't block, and I want to get it out of my hand into a situation where it doesn't matter that it can't block. So what do I want to pair with my Embodiment of Lightning? It's either going to be Shockwave or Gone in a Flash. It probably should be Gone in a Flash in case we draw into Discharge, more Sigils. Even Poison the Well works with Gone in a Flash. So what I would like to pitch is Ravenous Rabble and Arcanic Shockwave. Then Arsenal, Lightning Press. Keeping Shockwave is not a bad decision either. It's generally just a good card when combined with Embodiment of Lightning. It usually is a 0 for 5. Not with this hand, unfortunately. With this hand, we have not drawn into a lightning card to fuse with it, but we do at least have the snatch that we can open with. Let's think about how we want to potentially block with this hand. What our turn looks like is play snatch, it gets go again from embodiment, play lightning press to give it +3, hopefully draw a card. If we do, we can pitch Poison the Well to attack with Starfall. We can use our 2 floating resources to activate Aurora. We can then play Arcanic Shockwave for 4 with go again, and then finish with Snatch for 5 to draw a card, and bottom whatever the last card is on our hand, we get an arsenal. Alternatively, we could also just E-Strike for 7. So we send a 5-card 20 with no arsenal, or we send a 5-card 18 with an arsenal. And all of that is really good. If we block with this E-Strike, then what we have instead is Snatch for 7, Starfall, Arcanic Shockwave, Embodiment Arsenal, or we would Embodiment, play the Shockwave, play whatever 0 for 4 we drew from our deck. And that is a 4-card 17 with no arsenal, or a 4-card 13 with an embodiment and an arsenal. Which either one is good, but it does mean that E-Strike is either 3 damage on defense or 3 damage on offense, and our hand gets a little more flexible if we do have that E-Strike available. Considering that Anothos is just damage, I like not blocking here. If we blocked with our Shockwave, we have Snatch for 7, Starfall for 2, E-Strike for 5, so we are looking at a 4-card 17 with an arsenal, and that's pretty good. The problem there, what we do have to consider, is if the Snatch doesn't hit, then our only follow-up is E-Strike 5, draw a card, or E-Strike 7, so we're either looking at a 4-card 12 with an arsenal or a 4-card 14. Both of those are worse. So if we are hedging on Bravo having 2D reacts, then we would not want to block with the Shockwave. So I like this decision. I like leading with Snatch. We could lead with the E-Strike and choose to draw a card. At that point, we sort of up in the air what we're doing with that. We still need to play our Lightning Press so that we can have played a Lightning card for Starfall and Aurora. And if we are going to play our Lightning Press on the first thing we attack with, then Snatch is a much better target. We are a little unlucky here that Bravo has 2D reacts in the same 5 cards. It isn't so statistically unlikely, but it is just unfortunate. At this point, we do send the Starfall. I like sending E-Strike, draw a card, make an embodiment, arsenal. But there is definitely an argument to embodiment first and just try to play without an arsenal. Here we do have a weird situation where the E-Strike would have had go again if we had created that embodiment, but we would just be arsenaling the Sigil of Lightning anyway. And the hand we draw into is fine. It doesn't work super well with Sigil, but it is a reasonable hand of cards to have. And here is where we are going to make our game-losing mistake. This is an easy block with Crown of Providence, and cycle our arsenal, draw a 5th card, have Arc Lightning, Snatch, E-Strike, Somersault, and whatever the 5th card is. That's an incredible hand. We have Tunic up to pay for Starfall. This would be a really, really good 5-card hand, and what I'm going to do instead is not block with the Crown. Honestly, I think I just forgot that it's there. But not blocking with Crown here is a mistake. Now, let's say that we did have Dominion and either Ironweave, and we couldn't just Providence this Sigil away. In that case, I do think that blocking for 5 and somersaulting, Snatch, and E-Strike back is the right decision. I think we do give up the arsenal here to the CNC rather than blocking with our either Ironweave and using that 1 point with block. We could have covered the CNC and kept our Sigil of Lightning. The problem is our line is still the same. We E-Strike, bottoming Snatch, choosing to draw a card, hoping that we play a 0 for 4 afterwards, and then we're just playing Sigil of Lightning to clear out our arsenal for Arc Lightning. but the sigil is extraneous. We don't need the embodiment of lightning because we're going to have arc lightning. No, the mistake given this setup is that we did not use Crown of Providence. If we had boarded correctly and had our combo equipment, we wouldn't have been able to necessarily protect that sigil, and we would have made this same decision. But the fact that we did have Providence means that this was such a wasted turn. This was absolutely our opportunity to catch up, and we just didn't. Really, really big misplay on my part, just based on kind of forgetting that Providence was there. We would have had that in Twine Lightning in hand when we started the turn, because that's what we would have drawn after bottoming the Sigil of Lightning. So our turn would have been play Arc Lightning, play East Drake, probably bottom Somersault. No, it would have been bottom and Twine Lightning because we would have wanted the Somersault for Snatch. We would have drawn a card, and we would have drawn this Flicker Wisp. So we would have gotten to break the chain, play Flicker Wisp, fuse it with the Somersault. Then we get to Tunic, Starfall. It would have been a very good turn, which unfortunately no longer happens. Now, the turn we do have is really unfortunate because on its face, this looks like a really strong turn. We have an Arc Lightning in arsenal and a Flicker Wisp in hand, but we don't have a Lightning card to fuse with the Flicker Wisp. So this is really medium. If we had a Lightning card in hand, say this Exude Confidence was Lightning Surge, this hand is insane. But because it isn't, it's still going to be a good turn. It just isn't an insane game-winning turn. So what we want to do with this hand is play Arc Lightning. We'll follow up with Exude Confidence, which now has Go again. We can then use Tunic to attack with Starfall. We can pitch Flicker Wisp into Aurora to make Embodiment of Lightning, then play Entwine Lightning for 4 Go again. Then we either play the Snatch or Arsenal it, but either way we are using all of these cards, and we do kind of need all of these cards, so we're not going to block the Anothos. We will just take 6 here. But man, if we had had this Flicker Wisp in our previous hand on that Arc Lightning turn, we would have been all kinds of setup. We would have had a monster of a turn, and we didn't, just based on not using that Crown of Providence. So we are correctly choosing to take 6 here, just based on how long this Bravo is spending in his reaction step. We can assume that he has a Pummel, which is now in his arsenal. I think not playing the Pummel there is correct. I see 2 floating resources from a Guardian. I assume he has the Pummel, but if he pummels the Anothos, we don't have to discard. I would happily just take 4. So we play the Arc Lightning. We'll start with Exude. The reason we play Exude first and not Snatch is we want to negate any possibility of Bravo playing D-Reacts unless he also wants to give us an attack. And if Bravo wants to give us an attack on Exude Confidence, which doesn't have an on-hit, it's great with me. Follow up with the Starfall. Here we are going to activate Aurora, play the Entwine Lightning. Now the question is, do we want to play the Snatch or do we want to arsenal it? We are threatening the Snatch on hit, but Bravo hasn't used any of his armor yet. And the Snatch doesn't have Go again, so we aren't pushing an extra point with Arc Lightning. I actually think, in hindsight, I would have liked to arsenal this Snatch and set up a 5-card hand, especially because we have 2 Lightning Presses in our deck, one of which we just drew. That would be great. Bravo throwing Spinal Crush, floating 2 resources, still has that arsenal card. I am fully anticipating that this is Pummel. So how do I want to block around it being Pummel? Well, the math changes because we don't have an arsenal. If we had a Snatch in arsenal, then I am blocking with Heaven's Claws and Lightning Surge. That isn't true. I'm blocking with Heaven's Claws, Second Strike, and Grasp of the Arknight. We're covering up 7. We are putting Bravo into a position where he needs to pummel in order to get the crush effect through. So if he doesn't have the pummel and just hits us for 2, then our turn can be play Snatch, play Lightning Press, decide whether we want to snap or not, probably not, and then arsenal a Lightning Surge, and if he does pummel, then we discard our Lightning Surge, and our turn is Snatch, Lightning Press, draw a card, arsenal. But because we don't have that Snatch and arsenal, now we're in a weirder spot where we need to really decide how much we want to respect the pummel. We can block with Heaven's Claws, Second Strike, and Grasp, and if we do get pummeled, then we probably are just discarding Lightning Press and arsenaling the Lightning Surge. I think that's fine. We can also block 5 here. I do like this play more, not blocking with the Second Strike. If we get pummeled, we discard the Second Strike. And our turn is either Lightning Surge for 4, Arsenal Press, or Lightning Surge, Play Press, deal 7. I like dealing 7 here. We've only seen one Command and Conquer from Bravo, and if he draws either of the other two, then we still have Crown of Protection. So maybe we do want to arsenal this press, but we have played 2 of our snatches, so we don't necessarily need it. I would have liked to have played it there. I think playing it there actually was the correct call. Arsenaling the snatch the turn earlier would have been correct, but really they only work well with each other most of the time, so I would have liked to have used that press while I had it. At this point, we can block the Crippling Crush. We can give Heaven's Claws, Flittering Charge, Grasp, and Crown of Providence and cover up 8. We kind of need to, unless we want to discard most of our hand, which I don't want to do. We could give Gone in a Flash, Claws, Grasp, and Tunic if we wanted to hold our Crown of Providence. Is that necessarily good? No, we are pushing 10 damage potentially. We're definitely pushing 7 with Discharge and Flittering Charge. But I don't mind saving the Tunic. It is unfortunate that our Tunic is basically a turn late here. Would be nice if we could work a Starfall into our turn, because we do have the option to Gone in a Flash, Snap, Discharge, Gone in a Flash. So I don't hate blocking with Heaven's Claws, Flittering Charge, Grasp, and Crown, and just holding the Tunic and being able to use it on our next turn. Do we want to use the Crown? I think it's fine if we do. Lightning Press here does not really synergize with Gone in a Flash, and we have the opportunity to turn a 3-power attack into a 4-power attack. So if we sink Press and we draw Ravenous Rabble, Snatch, something like that, that's great. We get more damage in. If we draw into a card that we can't play, if we draw into a blue, maybe we draw into another Lightning Press, something that we cannot get full value out of, at a bare minimum, we have the opportunity to pitch it into Starfall. So if we bottom our press, we could draw 4 power. At minimum, we draw 2, so we are potentially losing 1 point of power and potentially drawing into an extra one. We do draw into that Rabble. So I like throwing the Rabble. We'll throw Gone in a Flash next, Snap, Discharge, Gone in a Flash, throw a total of 11 more damage this turn. Bravo still does have plenty of armor left, but we are putting him into a position where we are catching up. We're catching up on life, and we are going to force him to start giving us more cards from hand. We'll have Tunic up on our next turn. Hopefully we can draw something that lets us really start. Draw the last Lightning Surge and maybe another Ravenous Rabble, something that lets us work Starfall into the turn. We do still have Arc Lightnings in our deck. We can definitely find a way to get value out of our Tunic on our next turn. Seeing Command and Conquer from Bravo tells us that we are correct to not arsenal a card. The hand that we draw into is pretty okay if we get to play all of it. Unfortunately, we don't. If we could have played Flicker Wisp, fused it with Somersault, then played Rabble, then played Shockwave, fuse it with Somersault, and then arsenal the Somersault, that would have been pretty cool. Alternatively, we could have played Flicker Wisp, fused it with Somersault, Somersault, Rabble, Tunic, Starfall, Shockwave for a really solid turn, but this Spinal Crush is telling us that we need to block. and we need to block at least 6. We have 2 ways to do it. We can block with Rabble and Shockwave, and we'll somersault both of them back. We then have a choice between blocking with Flicker Wisp or blocking with Tunic, keeping in mind that we will not use either one on our next turn. We would either Arsenal the Flicker Wisp or we would hold the Tunic, and given the fact that Flicker Wisp is a way to kill Bravo through his Arcane Barrier that he cannot block, and Tunic asks for a more specific hand than we can realistically offer, I would like to block with Tunic. So my block here would be Rabble, Shockwave, Tunic, and then Somersault, Rabble, Shockwave back to hand. Next turn, we attack with Rabble, we attack with Shockwave, and we Arsenal Flicker Wisp. Bravo has shown us 2 Command and Conquers. He has not shown us any disables yet, but it is reasonable to expect that we could hold on to the Flicker Wisp. Let's say that Bravo blocks with his 2 remaining pieces of armor and goes to 3. We do have the opportunity to draw a hand that can deal 3 arcane damage. The Flicker Wisp would deal 1 through AB. We could draw into another Shockwave. There are ways that Flicker Wisp is a way to kill Bravo, and I really like having it more than I like having a full Tunic that we don't necessarily get value out of. Just a little problem with Talishar here. Bravo needing to refresh the page. So we take 2, we don't get crushed. We're going to throw hopefully a 2-card 8, which we do manage to achieve. Very likely that Bravo stays alive at 3 here. And unfortunately, we don't get to work Starfall into this turn. We can't use our Tunic for anything. And this is where I would much rather have a Flicker Wisp to put into my arsenal. And then we draw into would have worked really well with a Flicker Wisp. Now we are probably staring down Chokeslam Pummel, which is really unfortunate for us. If we were not getting pummeled here, let's say that Bravo had pitched a blue and a red and we knew he was just going to Arsenal this last card in his hand. If we had Flicker Wisp in Arsenal, we get to play Flicker Wisp, fuse it with Channel Lightning Valley. We can either play the Channel Lightning Valley and draw a card, or we can hold the Channel Lightning Valley and play it with Flittering Charge and get to Flittering, Second Strike, Tunic, Starfall, Lightning Surge, and threaten 16 points of damage this turn, one of which Bravo cannot prevent. And that's really, really good. That's a lot better than what we're looking at here, which would be Flittering Charge, play Channel Lightning Valley, Tunic, Starfall, hope that one of those 2 hit so that we can Second Strike Lightning Surge. Just kind of unfortunate play. Now, we're probably staring down a pummel. So let's think about how we want to block around getting pummeled. We are being threatened with a potential 12 damage. We need to cover at least 3 of that to not be dead. Sadly, we don't have a 3 block in hand, and we cannot block with armor here. Our grasp is empty. We could give Tunic, but we kind of need the Tunic for our next turn. So we could think about blocking with Second Strike Tunic, go down to 1 if we get pummeled, and then discard, I don't know, Flittering Charge, and our turn is, or discard Lightning Surge, and our turn is play Flittering Charge, play Channel Lightning Valley, hope that it hits. I think that is probably our best line. So we give Tunic, Second Strike. If we don't get pummeled, our turn is play Flittering, play Channel Lightning, play Lightning Surge. If we do get pummeled, we discard the Lightning Surge, and our turn is play Flittering, play Channel Lightning. Alternatively, we can block with Lightning Surge and Second Strike. If we get pummeled, we discard the Flittering, and then our turn is Tunic, Starfall. If Bravo doesn't block it, we play Channel Lightning. If Bravo does block it, we Arsenal Channel Lightning. We're in a bad spot either way. Bravo does have the 3rd pummel, so we are going to discard our Flittering Charge here. Check in Chokeslam just to make sure it does not affect weapons. I already suspected that it didn't, but always good to confirm. And we get to Starfall Channel Lightning. Bravo likely giving us a card here. He has not seen a Channel Lightning Valley from us at all this game. It isn't unreasonable to think that we definitely have it. It's also the only card in our hand that is actively bad if he doesn't block it. Terra Sunder here is just going to be able to put the game away. We can block for 3 with Exude Confidence and Tunic. We would then gain 3 from Sigil. We would go down to 1, have to discard the last 2 cards in our hand, do nothing on our turn, and then just pass the turn back to Bravo. So we are just going to concede here. So a really unfortunate game for us. Not blocking with the Crown of Providence in that Command & Conquer was like a tremendous misplay, was absolutely the reason we lost that game and is 100% a mistake, in no way defensible. And now you could say, well, if I had played Dominion Ironweave, I wouldn't have been able to cover the CNC, I would have made the same block. Well, that's true. But on the Arc Lightning turn, with the Flicker Wisp that we couldn't fuse, when we play Arc Lightning, we can then play maybe Snatch, break Ironweave, break Gold. We deal 2 more points of damage, potentially put Bravo to 1. Now fast forward, when we maybe have that Flicker Wisp in our arsenal, and our turn is play Flicker Wisp, fuse it with Channel Lightning, Bravo dies. So even with Dominion Ironweave, we wouldn't have been able to make that block, but we would have been able to deal more on the following Arc Lightning turn. Or maybe we even draw a card from the gold, and now we do get to fuse Flicker Wisp, and our turn is a little better. So really not defensible. A few unfortunate variance issues that game. Bravo having the turn 0 dominate Starstruck is very good for him. It is his best possible opener. Bravo drawing 3 pummels. Bravo having the 2D reacts for our Lightning Press on the Snatch. These are all bad things, and if they don't happen, then there's a very good chance that we do win that game. But the fact that we screwed up the Crown turn was massively impactful. But you also see overall, the good takeaway from this is, look at how close we got with a deck that was not optimized for beating traditional Bravo. If we play a little better and with a different equipment setup, we win that game with a deck that is not optimized to beat Bravo. Whereas we definitely win the game if our deck is optimized, but if Bravo's on counter blessings, we 100% lose. So even if our deck is suboptimal for traditional Bravo, which, let's be honest, I'm not expecting to run into in a tier 3 or 4 event because it just dies to every counter blessings deck it runs into, we would still be able to beat it. And that is why, if you go through Patreon and you have my sideboard guide, I am playing an anti-counter blessing strategy into any deck where I reasonably think I might see it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from this game. If so, be sure to second strike that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free, it helps me out a lot. I am exclusively on Blue Sky. I have a Discord. You can join my Patreon. But no matter what you do, catch me back here next time for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, take care.